Hey everybody, happy long weekend. Susan here. Just checking in. I'm hoping my kids don't find where I am. I know one of them can hear me through the window. Anyway, feeling compelled to jump on and share two things. I actually jotted a few things down so that I could keep my mind clear on what I wanted to share. It is around health, of course. You know that's my thing. Just like you, I've been observing and learning about just where we're at with society, communities, and health, and the virus, and all of that stuff. And, there's a lot of information, interpretation, differing opinions out there. And probably just like you, I'm doing my best to really make sense of it all and discern and take action for my family. And so I'm coming on here because I really want to share sort of two main places that I think we need to be. One is, again, about health empowerment. So finding information and doing what you can now to bring health to yourself and your family. And the second is around being a critical thinker. And I'll get to that at the end. I'm just one person. I am not an expert. I fully acknowledge that there's still so much to learn about this virus, what it is, how it behaves, how it's different from other viruses, how it is affecting different people in different ways, which we know is how the whole microbiology world works, right? Viruses and bacteria affect different bodies, different hosts in different ways, right? So certainly it affects the lungs. It can also affect the bowel, and we're seeing that now in cases in children. That's not a surprise, and we're going to hear more about that medically. This is my perception. This is what I know as somebody being in the health and nutrition industry for 20 years and with the science background that I have. So I'm coming at this really from this place of wanting us all to feel empowered. So I just got in from a bike ride myself. The weather was cooperative and I got out and I'm huffing and puffing and I'm like, okay, fresh air and exercise, right? Bring oxygen into the lungs. Think of that. Think of what oxygen does to the lungs, right? That's what you want, right? Directly through the mouth. Okay. So, it occurred to me, I'm like, we there's things we can do now. Go back to what you were doing before. Go back to what you knew built health in your body, right? Moving your body, fresh air, direct fresh air, right? Exercise, sleep, and if part of sleep for you is shutting the news off before you go to bed so that you can actually shut your brain off and get yourself out of the stress mode, what we call the sympathetic nervous system, which is that kind of stressed place where your body will not allow you to actually get into a good sleep rhythm. So doing what you need to do to actually bring sleep back. Sleep is the most healing factor in your immune system health. 100%. And it's something I absolutely have to work on, right? So, so moving our bodies, exercise, fresh air, sleep, healthy eating, right? That's what I'm all about. So do this. As I said in my last video, if there was ever a time where you thought maybe you would improve how you eat, there's no judgment here. Now's the time, right? Let's go back to what we know. Yes, fruits and vegetables. Yes, natural whole foods and healthy overall eating. You don't have to start picking up goji berries and chia seeds if that's just not part of your thing, right? Go back to the basics. Having said that, there is a lot of evidence that shows that certain nutrients, some specific vitamins and minerals like vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, vitamin A, are extremely supportive for dealing with viruses, including the coronavirus. Okay, so there is more of that evidence coming forward, and I'm going to start to share that. So please, you can let me know. I think the easiest thing would be for me to just tag people in my posts. This is clinically researched information. This isn't like hippie stuff that's just out there. Okay, so that's an important factor. I'm also fully aware that we have a sector of our communities that is more vulnerable, right? And so whether that's health-wise, if they're immunocompromised, vulnerable in any way, predisposed to certain things, maybe had pre-existing health conditions like diabetes, like cardiovascular health, the elderly, absolutely. And I think that we are starting to hear more about how we protect that sector of society while allowing the majority of healthy people to move forward and get back to real life and actually establish healthy immune systems in that way. It is far more healthy for us to be outside, breathing fresh air, moving our bodies, to be healthy, even to deal with a virus we may come across, than to be stagnant in our homes, right? Get outside, let your kids get dirty. I mean, even me now, I'm just like, oh, don't touch that, right? Because we've been conditioned to think that everything is germy. And, and I'm not one for hand sanitizer, but I'm now like, oh, maybe you should put that gel on your hands. Okay, Susan, remember that good bacteria from the dirt, from germy places, is actually what helps build our immune function. We need the good and the bad in our system. And again, there's more research on this in the last decade than ever before about how we've become too sterile. And so we are going to start to hear about that again, right? Is allowing our kids to get back into nature, allowing ourselves, maybe you do some gardening, maybe you're not as hyper vigilant about washing your hands in certain circumstances, okay? And we don't need to debate that. We don't need to debate quarantining the healthy. We don't need to debate when and if to wear masks and how to over sanitize, okay? This is really about things we can do now to build our health. Okay, I'm looking at my notes. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is being a critical thinker. So asking those questions. Do I need to be wearing a mask when I'm outside going for a walk and there's no one around, right? Asking questions about some of the things that we're coming across in the media. First of all, does it make sense for me to follow mass media and what they're communicating? Ask questions. What's that narrative? Is it serving everybody? Is there more to the story, right? And I'm not talking about big, out there theories that are hard to prove. Okay, I'm married to somebody who has zero time, limited capacity for anything that's not concrete, right? In many of our minds, in his mind, it's sort of like we've got people to get back to work, we've got businesses to open, an economy to stabilize, and we need to move forward from that perspective. And I totally get that. Okay, but I need to share the fact that, I'm encouraging people to look for health information, health supportive information, and it's becoming a challenge. And here's the thing, and I'm not, a sensationalist, an alarmist, but it's a fact that major organizations, so Google and YouTube and Facebook, are actively pulling content off of their platforms to control the narrative. And so it's important to ask questions around, why is that? And you may think, oh, that's way out there. But I'm telling you, it's happening in Canada as well. And it's happening in the area of health information. So this is what concerns me. And this is why I'm stressing the importance of being a critical thinker and empowering yourself and looking for information that maybe is an alternative view or that serves you, and taking the time to ask yourself the hard questions like, does this resonate like truth? Does this make sense? Does this, in some part of me, is it worth questioning? Or, shall I move forward with this? Anyway, that's a bit ethereal, but it's the place I think we need to be at. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So, and I have the privilege and benefit of being in the health and wellness industry. And so I have access to a lot of information that maybe some people don't come across. And that's where I'm, willing to start to share more of that, which is a bit of a vulnerable place. But I think it's really important. There are medical doctors, naturopaths, chiropractors, nutritionists, functional doctors who are sharing information around building health through nutrients, through foods, who are being forced to take down their information. And it could be as basic as vitamin C in the treatment of COVID-19. I have a colleague who was asked to take down her information around immune supportive foods like blueberries. Okay, so these are real examples of censorship, essentially, that's happening in our community. So I think it's important to be aware of that. I think it's important to know that's what's happening, and therefore to empower yourself to look further and follow the people you trust and dig for more information and empower yourself with the things you can do now. That's my message. Okay, so let's stay true to that. Let's really build our health so that we can get out there. We move out of our bubbles and back into society, knowing that our bodies are strong and capable. And, and even if we were to contract the virus, that we can fight it. We can do this, and we can, get back into what looks like a more healthy, proactive, and, moving forward society. Okay, chat again.